guys, how's it going? Iissham here, and today I thought it would be a fun idea for me to make a tier list video going over many of the popular comps that I've queued into at a decent rating, around 2400 plus, and give my opinion on where I think comps rank. Now, you can use this information and try to play some of the strongest comps in this video if you want a better chance at doing well in the 3v3 bracket. Also, this is my opinion, so don't get mad at me if you disagree. Also, sorry to the Wrestle Druids and the Holy Priests, as you will not be represented in this video. The thing with those healers is that I know there are probably very niche comps they can play and do well with, or you could just slot them into some of the very overpowered comps and they would do well. But honestly, I played over 250 games in Arena already, if not more, and I think I've only queued into a handful of Wrestle Druids and literally one Holy Priest in Arena. So apologies if this upsets you, but I just wanted to make a tier list on the most popular comps that I've queued against and ranked them. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video, and let's jump into it. Alright, so we're going to start this video off talking about Boomy Shadow Priest X. Now, typically, this comp is played with a Wrestle Shaman, but I have also seen it played with a Holy Pally, especially during this season. I mean, Holy Pally is by far the strongest healer, and Wrestle Shaman, for my money, is going to be the second strongest. Boomkins with their Incarn ability have insane burst potential. I would say the highest burst potential out of any class in the whole entire game. I mean, I played with a Boomy before. I've used Sky Fury with him. Literally has hit 17k Star Surges. So that's basically 70 to 80% of someone's HP, which is absolutely insane because it is instant and there's no way you can prevent it. And Boomies are really tanky as well. Now, if we look over to Shadow Priest, the amount of utility that Shadow Priest has, and even Boomkin as well, with their Cyclones, Disorienting Roar, Root Beam, normal roots, the Shadow Priest has Psychic Horror, Silence, Fear, Life Swap, Fade, and then the utility that the two healers provide. This is an extremely strong comp, and basically what you're going to be aiming to do with this comp is just prolonging the game until eventually you get an Incarn, where either you get that Incarn, it forces everyone's, cooldowns, and then you win on the next CC chain, or you force cooldowns before Incarn is available, and then you just use Incarn to close the game. So overall, I think this comp is really good. I think this comp is an easy A tier right now. Next, we have DK Shadow Priest Wrestle Shaman, specifically within Unholy Dk. Now, this comp was extremely prevalent in the last season of BFA. It was extremely powerful as well. I mean, it matched up very well into everything in the meta. However, with the release of Shadowlands, I feel like this comp isn't as good as it once was. It might honestly be a C tier comp because with the nerfs to Unholy Dk, now since the meta is extremely quick, I think that is the biggest issue to this comp. I mean, one of the reasons why it was so good in BFA was that you could almost out-dampen anything, and if you queue into a bunch of like spell cleaves, etc., RMPs, you can basically just outlast them and win the game eventually. And now, Unholy DKs, they didn't really lose anything. In fact, I think they gained more this expansion. However, I don't think that they provide the necessary peels and support that Shadow Priest truly needs in order to survive. So for that reason, we're going to start it off in the C tier. Now, I'm sure you could make an argument that this could be in a B tier comp. And I don't think this comp is that bad. I did queue into it at a pretty high MMR. However, I just don't think it's going to be as good as these other comps. So for that reason, we're going to keep it in the C tier. So the next composition is going to be Elemental Shaman Boomkin X. Now this comp is typically played with a Holy Pally, but I've seen lots of Wrestle Shamans run it as well. Now this comp is an extremely strong comp for similar reasons that Boomkin Shadow Priest is strong. However, where it lacks a little bit of defensive utility, which is where the Shadow Priest sort of excels in, it provides much more burst with the Ele Shaman. Now if you're an Elemental Shaman, you hit your Echo of the Elements, you hit your Maldraxxus Covenant ability, you can potentially get out 6 Lava Bursts, and you pair that with Sky Fury, maybe a Boomkin Star Surge, and something is just going to fall over. So overall, I think this comp is a little bit squishier than Boomy Shadow Priest, but the damage output is so insane. And I mean, it's really easy to punish people for overextending, for misusing cooldowns, misusing their trinket, things like that. So overall, I think the comp is really good. I sort of want to put it in S tier, and I mean, you could make the argument that both these comps could be in the S tier, but I just don't know how good they are in comparison to some of the comps that I know for sure are going to be in the S tier. So we'll move on. LE Shadow Priest Holy Pally. Now I think that this comp is going to be in the B tier. This comp is extremely strong, I believe. Like, if we want to talk about the ranks, S tier is just like by far, I mean, just insanely overpowered. Anybody can play the comp and be good. Similar to A tier, basically anyone can play the comp and have a bunch of success. B tier is like the comp is strong, but it does have some issues. So with that being said, and C tier is just the comp is okay, you can make it work, but again, it's not that great. You'd probably have to be a good player in order to make it work. Now, LE Shadow Priest Holy Pally, it does have decent kill potential with the LE Shaman. However, if you queue into them and you are able to spam dispel, flame shocks, things like that, lock down the elemental shaman, then their burst opportunities are going to be lower and lower. So I think that this comp actually lacks some kill potential, even though it is a pretty sturdy comp. It can last a long time. It has many defensives to prolong the game. So I don't think it's as good as these comps, but LE Shadow Priest Holy Pally is definitely a good comp. And if you are an elemental shaman and you have a Shadow Priest Holy Pally friend, try it out and you won't be disappointed. Next is going to be Feral Mage Disc Priest FMP. This comp is insane right now. I mean, Feral Burst and Fire Mage Burst, some of the highest burst potentials in the entire game, with Combust and Frenzy, and the Feral being Kyrian, they can do a bunch, or even Night Fae with Convoke. Overall, it's just insane. Now, I think the Disc Priest kind of holds that comp back a little bit, because they actually have to use mana, unlike Holy Pallies. But with that being said, the comp is still really good. It provides a lot of support for the Disc Priest if you queue into a melee cleave that just train it, because the Feral can just off heal while the Fire Mage just spams Poly, or the Feral can Cyclone and the Mage can spam Poly. Like, it's absolutely insane the utility that the Feral and Fire Mage bring to the table when you play with them. So this comp is really good. We'll put it in the A tier. Next, we're going to be talking about Jungle. Jungle is a comp that is always good. I literally cannot remember a time where Jungle has been bad, even when Ferals and Hunters were garbage. Like, even when they were garbage, these three classes mixed together somehow make the comp work. And now with Ferals being extremely powerful, and we're seeing a return moving away from survival hunters to marksmanship hunters, like, this comp is just insane with the buffs to marksman, the damage buffs that marksman received, so it can do insane burst every minute or so. The fact that it can avoid its biggest problem of people lining by going Kyrian and being able to shoot through pillars is insane. So overall, I would say Jungle's really good. Again, this is like really tough. I don't know if it should be in the S tier or A tier. Like, it's for sure better than B tier, for sure better than C tier. You could make an argument for S tier, but again, I think the safe bet is just A tier for right now. Next, we have LSP, a classic comp of Elemental Warlock Holy Pally. This comp was super popular back in Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mop. Typically how you play this comp is you just try to live, the Affliction Warlock rots everyone down, and then the LE Shaman uses its burst to finish the game. Now, this comp is still pretty strong, pretty good. However, the LE Shaman doesn't provide that much utility for the Affliction Warlock, but that's usually okay because the Holy Pally is so strong right now in the current meta. So typically you can manage to live long enough to actually score a kill via your LE Shaman or Affliction Warlock. So overall the comp is really good. You can find a lot of success with it. I don't think it's as good as our A tier comps because Affliction Warlock lacks a little bit, especially with the really fast meta right now, but it's still a strong comp. Next, we will go over to Turbo. with a Mistweaver as a healer specifically. I've queued into this a bunch of times. Now I do think Arms Warrior and Hand Shaman together is a really insane comp that a lot of people are sleeping on right now. However, when I've queued into it, the Enhanced Shaman can do crazy bursts with Maelstrom weapon proc. It can do an instant chain harvest that can literally kill 2 people from 50% health instantly if it crits on both of them. So because of that, it's insane. Enhanced Shaman also provides a lot of insane instant healing with Healing Surge and the Maelstrom weapon procs that it receives. Sometimes Healing Surge can crit upwards of 25k, like it's absolutely insane right now. Enhancement Shamans are a little bit overtuned. However, with this comp, the Mistweaver sort of holds them back again. I mean, I was queuing into people who are really high rated with this comp right now. With that being said, Mistweaver is not the best healer right now, and because of that, that's gonna slot them in the B tier. Right now we have Ret Boomy Wrestle Shaman. I think that's gonna be an easy first S tier comp. I played this comp a little bit earlier in the season, and I think we played 7 games in 9 or 10 minutes. Like, think about that for a little bit, considering we have the starting room, which is a minute long. Like, Ret Pallies are absolutely insane. Their burst is comparable to Boomy's. They can hit upwards of 15Ks on their Templar's Verdict instantly. So if you pop Ret Wings, Incarn, and Sky Fury, you can instantly kill teams. Like, it's absolutely insane what these two comps, or what these two specs, Ret Pally and Boomkin, can do with each other. As well, they have nice utility for one another. I mean, a Boomkin can spam clone things to help the Ret live, can spam heal. The Shaman can spam hex things depending on the matchup you're going against. So I think Ret Boomy is an S tier comp. I played into it a few times. I played it myself. It seems extremely powerful. So for that reason, we'll leave it at the very top. Next is going to be Ret Dk, and this could be played with either a Wrestle Shaman, a Holy Pally, or a Disc Priest. The little shield got cut off at the end there. And you can find success with this comp. Ret Pallies, I don't think I have to talk about them too much. I mean, the utility that they bring is pretty crazy. Hand of Sacrifice they got back. They have Sank for the healer to get them out of stuns, fears, silences. They have Hand of Protection, which prevents physical damage. And they do insane healing. They can literally top someone from 5% HP to full with wings. And again, their burst is one of the craziest in the games. Pair that with a melee with a Frost DK that can grip things so the Ret can stay on top of them. They have an insane slow with Chains of Ice, which is a really nice peel in and of itself. The DK can play big AMZ to help them out against spellcasters. Like, I think this comp is really good, so I'm going to put it in the A tier. Next, we have Ret Hunter, again played with the 3 most popular healers, which is Holy Pally, Wrestle Shaman, and Disc Priest. This is just a solid comp. I would say it's just good at everything, but not amazing. Like, it's good into melee cleaves, it's good into Rogue Mage, it's good into specific spellcaster comps, and for that reason it deserves to be in the A tier, because it's not super broken, but it's just a good comp. Next, we're going to talk about Ret Warrior, played with either a Wrestle Shaman or a Holy Pally. Now, this comp is literally the best comp in the game, or at least the second best comp in the game. Arms Warrior utility that it can provide its teammates prevents Wrestle Shaman, the Holy Pally, from dying, will prevent the Ret from dying, the Ret will prevent, you know, the Arms Warrior from dying, and the 2 healers, like, and the damage that it does is just insane. The reason why I didn't, also I should touch on this as well, the reason why I didn't put Frost DK Ret up there is because it lacks MS, but this comp has that MS, it has that, so it's going to put even more pressure on healers to actually heal and use mana. And the burst that it does, the longevity that it has, this comp is just insane. I mean, there's a reason why Vanguard's is #1 on the ladder right now. It's because this comp is absolutely insane. Next, we're going to be talking about Sub Fire Disc Priest. This is an A tier comp in my opinion. It's really good. It's not as dominant as it was in previous expansions. However, with Subtlety coming back out to the forefront of rogues, and being that it synergizes so well with Fire Mages and Disc Priests, the CC potential that this comp has is a lot, and the burst potential, as long as they can kill teams before the Disc Priest runs out of mana, you're laughing. Like, this comp is basically always viable, it's always strong. So I'm gonna leave it in the A tier for that reason. Next, we have the same comp, except with the Holy Pally as opposed to Disc Priest. Now, I think that this comp is actually an S tier comp. Holy Pallies are just so good, they never run out of mana, and because of that reason, it actually gives the RM Pal a long time to potentially find windows and opportunities in the game where they can close it out, where they can try to get that kill. Because eventually you play into Rogue Mage, and if that game goes long enough, well, now you don't have a trinket, now your teammate doesn't have a trinket, maybe someone accidentally wasted a trinket or a defensive cooldown, and Rogue Mage is really good at capitalizing on other people's mistakes. And with the new Fire Mage Legendary, it's super tanky. It's going to be not impossible, but very hard to kill a Fire Mage. And rogues are a little bit squishy, but when they're playing with the Fire Mage for that extra support, when they're playing with the Holy Pally, it's also hard to kill them, especially if they're good at kiting. So because of that, we'll put it in the S tier. Next, we have Rogue DH Holy Pally. I'm going to put in the C tier. Now, this comp can work. It is pretty gimmicky. I know good players have been high rated with this comp. However, it's sort of like a one trick. It's nowhere. I don't think it's better than Unholy Dk, Shadow Priest, Wrestle, Shaman. But I mean, it is a pretty silly comp to queue into. Usually their main goal is to just force someone's trinket, swap to them with a smoke bombs done. Your Demon Hunter uses the hunt, and then it's just game over. But that's basically their only game plan. They're not going to a healer with all the damage they're going to do. So because it only has one win condition and it's easy to see it coming, we're going to put in the C tier, even though it can work. Next is RPS. We're going to put that in the S tier. Actually, we'll put it above. We'll put it in front of RM Pal. I think RPS is actually insane right now. I mean, Peekaboo got to #1 with the ladder playing RPS. It's extremely powerful, especially paired with that Subtlety Rogue now, because it opens up the Shadow Priest to play Mind Bomb. And you can do insane CC goes with that. Have your Sub-Rogue stun everyone, Kidney Shot the healer, the Shadow Priest Mind Bombs off that into a silence. And the great thing about the Wrestle Shaman and the Sub-Rogue combo is that it's really easy to get a Hex on the healer if you are playing with the Sub-Rogue, because they can set that up nicely for you. So you're looking at a full Kidney Shot into a full Mind Bomb into a full Hex. If you're playing Voodoo Mastery, you can Hex them 3 times. So it's almost like 30 seconds of CC. You can put the healer in every 30 seconds, which is absolutely insane. The utility, the defensive utility that the Shadow Priest provides makes it so that eventually you are just going to find an opening because you're keeping your team alive with your support, and then you'll just win. I mean, it is very hard to live that amount of CC unless maybe you queue into a Ret Pally that can disrupt it with Sank. But even so, if you queue into a class like or a spec like the Ret Pally, it's really easy for the Sub-Rogue just to cross CC them so they can actually help you out. So because of that and the burst potential that this comp can do, we'll put in the S tier. Next, we have Shadow Play with a Holy Pally or Wrestle Shaman. I think that this comp is not bad. However, the meta, I believe, is a little too fast for it. Now, when I've queued into it, and if I haven't been able to kill either the Warlock, Shadow Priest, or the healer within a certain time limit, then it seems like if they survive for a certain amount of time, it eventually puts the enemy team to the point of no return with all the spread pressure that they have and the burst that they can do as well. So I think that this comp is good. It lacks a little bit of defensive utility, I think, in order to live, in order to help prolong the game. But with that being said, it's still a good comp and you can definitely have success with it. Next is going to be Thundercleave. So that is going to be the Subtlety Rogue Marksmanship Hunter played with a Disc Priest or a Wrestle Shaman. I've seen both common, and I think we are going to put this in the A tier. I think that this is a really good comp right now. The burst that sub rogue and marksmanship hunters can do together is absolutely insane, and the amount of CC that this comp has is really nice. I mean, again, the rogue can just stun everything for the hunter, he can get a free trap, and then the priest can fear off, or the shaman can hex if he wants, and it's really easy to lock everyone down and get those perfect clean setups in order to close the game. So I think that this is an A tier comp. Probably was an S tier comp before marksmanship hunters and sub rogues got all their nerfs, but it's still an extremely strong comp and you should try it out. Next is going to be Thundercleave. I don't know if this is an S tier comp. I mean, it might be. I think you can make an argument that Thundercleave is an S tier comp just because arms warriors are honestly ridiculous. With the support that they provide their team and the damage and burst that they can do, it's too much, honestly. Like, arms warriors need a nerf. Same with lots of these common characters on the S tier, like red Pallies need a nerf for sure, boomkins need a nerf, holy Pallies probably do, or maybe not a nerf, they just need like a small tuning change, because it's ridiculous what some of these classes bring to the table. So I think I maybe just talked myself into putting on the S tier. Well, actually, I think it's more of an A tier comp, because I feel like it would lose into specific things. Like Ret Warrior would probably do really well into it, because you could just hit the Iissham. Maybe if they're playing with a Holy Pally, you can just hex the Shaman the whole entire game. If the Warrior intervenes the Shaman, you can just tap target kill him. So I think it is a very strong comp. Again, rogue teams you'd probably have an issue with as well. So I think it's just extremely durable. The burst, the kill potential is there. However, I think it lacks a little something in order for it to be in the S tier. Next we have Frost TSG, which is Arms Warrior, Frost DK, Holy Pally. This is an A tier comp. I mean, both the DPS do insane damage. It's hard to kill them. The Holy Pally will make sure it's hard to kill them. And they just do so much damage together. It's a comp that if you're fighting Disc Priest, you can win on mana really easily. If you're fighting a Wrestle Shaman, you can even beat them on mana depending on the comp you're playing. So because of that, it has lots of win conditions. Both DPS just paired together, this comp. It just has always had that synergy. The Warrior, DK, Holy Pally, and it's showing itself. It's showing its true colors now. So I don't think it's an S tier comp, but it's definitely a strong comp, so we'll keep it in A tier. Next, we have Turbo Cleave with a Holy Pally. This is an A tier comp. Enhanced Shamans, crazy burst, crazy healing, can disrupt the game with grounding, sheer, hex. Warrior will prevent the Shaman, prevent the Holy Pally from dying. Like, the burst potential that Turbo Cleave can do is one of the highest in the entire game, with Wind Fury Totem, Ascendant, Chain Harvest. Like, it is an absolutely disgusting matchup to play into, because I've played several games into Turbo Cleave where we've literally just lost instantly, because we've got Chain Harvest for 17k, hit both my teammates, I've linked to try to prevent some damage, and then they Chain Harvest, kill us all. So Turbo Cleave is definitely underrated right now, but with that being said, it's still an extremely powerful comp. WLS, that's a B tier comp. Not many comps with an Arms Warrior are in the B tier right now, but I think it lacks a little bit in order to save the Warlock, and I think the meta is just too quick for WLS. I feel like if you queue into an RPS, the Warrior won't be able to help the Warlock anyways, and they have too much CC for the Shaman to support the Warlock. If they queue into like Red Boomy, I feel like the Warlock's just going to fall over in a Root Beam. Red Warrior is just going to run the Warlock down, he'll pour it away, they'll just kill the Shaman or the Warrior. So because of that, I think that this is a good comp. I mean, I remember I was queuing into Maldiva playing it a little bit earlier in the season, and if the Warlock is insane and can kite a lot, it can eventually get to that point of no return where you don't have any mana, your whole team's getting rotted down. So it is a good comp. However, I think it needs to stay in the B tier. And I mean, you could make an argument for a lot of these comps that, you know, maybe the A tier, some of these comps could be in the B tier, some of these B tier comps maybe A tier, and same with the S tier. But I think it's around the level of these comps, so we'll leave it in there. Warrior Mage Holy Pally, that's an S tier comp in my opinion. Mages are super tanky right now with their legendary. Warriors make it so it's really hard to kill their partners. The burst that they do is insane. Holy Pallies aren't going to so you will have the advantage. If you're just pumping damage with this comp, you have that condition. You have the win condition of just having an insane amount of CC for the healer and just catching them without a trinket, without defensives, and eventually winning. So because of that, we're going to put it in the S tier. Next, we have WPS. That's an easy S tier comp for me. It's really good for similar reasons that RPS is. It's super hard to kill anyone. Like Shadow Priests are super tanky, Arms Warriors are super tanky, Wrestle Shamans are in a really good position right now. I mean, this comp can do really good spread pressure. It can do a CC oriented game style where they try to set up lots of hexes on the healer. And overall, this comp is just really strong. The pressure that it outputs, its defensive capabilities is insane. So because of that, S tier. Next, we have Windwalker Boomy Wrestle Shaman. This is an S tier comp. Windwalker monks are absolutely insane right now. Boomkins are absolutely insane. Wrestle Shamans are insane. You pair Windwalker Burst with Boomkin Burst. I mean, you can't have Red Boomy in the S tier without having Windwalker Boomy in the S tier right now as well. So the comp is just insane. Your goes are instant. You don't even have to get a Cyclone. You don't have to rely on that like you used to. You don't have to rely on the Shaman getting hexes. You can literally just do Monk Para, Root Beam, and you can cap off it. And then something should die. Like, this comp is absolutely insane. Next is going to be Windwalker DH, played with either Wrestle Shaman or Holy Pally. I think this is a B tier comp. Demon Hunters aren't really prevalent in the meta right now. They do have some niche comps with like DH Rogue I've seen, DH Windwalker, probably even DH Arms Warrior, but I haven't queued into that honestly yet. So this comp is not bad. I mean, the reason why I put in the B tier over the C tier is because you gain an additional win condition if you play with the Windwalker, and that's the potential just to win outright on mana. If you're playing with like a Holy Pally or Wrestle Shaman to like a Disc Priest or Wrestle Druid, healers like that. So it's super high damage output. It has an okay survivability. I mean, Demon Hunters, they cannot meta spells anymore. They can't Blade Dance physical attacks anymore. So they are a lot squishier than they were in BFA and Legion. With that being said though, I mean, yeah, this is just a B tier comp. Lots of damage, not so many defensives, so it could be a little bit better, maybe if they buff Demon Hunters. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty solid comp. Next we have Windwalker DK Wrestle Shaman. This is an A tier comp. It might actually be an S tier comp. I haven't queued into it that many times, so I'm not too sure. I know Sidu was playing this comp and he had a bunch of success with it. Just because Windwalker DK, they always have had that insane synergy. I mean, you grip someone in. If you're playing against a melee cleave, everyone's going to be stacked anyway, so you grip someone in. You get that triple blind from the DK. You get that triple sweep off that. Frost DKs do insane AoE damage. Windwalkers do insane AoE damage. You can just kill the whole entire team right there. So because of that, I think it's an S tier, but you could make the case. Or sorry, I think it's A tier, but you could make the case for S tier. Next, we have Windwalker SP Wrestle Shaman. This is an A tier comp. It might be even an S tier comp. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, this is actually the comp that I got rank 1 with last season. I got over 3,300 with it. I was almost 3,500 MMR. It's a very good comp. However, I haven't played it enough this season to know if it's a truly S tier comp. I have played into it a few times against really good players, I do think that my Windwalker Shadow Priest could probably be better though, or be the best. But yeah, I just don't know. Shadow Priests have insane utility, good burst. Windwalker's insane utility, good burst. Like, it's just a really good comp, and without knowing too much about it, I think the A tier is just a safe bet for it. You could make the argument for the S tier, but I just don't know that much about this comp, honestly. But maybe in the future, if I do this again, I'll add some more comps, I'll take some out. This one could be in the S tier. Next, we have FM Pal. Feral, Fire Mage, Holy Pally. It's one of the best comps in the game, if not the best comp in the game. Ferals with their spam clone, spam heals, Fire Mages with the 3 shields, spam poly, and you pair that with the best healer in the game. The comp is literally insane. I mean, there's nothing it can't do. It can survive deep dampening if it wants to. It can turn up the pressure and do insane bursts if it wants to. It just has so many options to it. It's hard to go wrong with this comp. So that is going to be it for the video. This was my little tier list video on the specific comps I've queued into a lot on the ladder and rating them. So I hope this video helps you guys out. You can see which comps I personally think are really strong, so you maybe want to give them a try, and maybe that would elicit more success for you in the 3v3 bracket. But with that being said, if you like this video, like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, leave a comment, tell me what's up. Go check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/Iissham_PvP. Been trying to stream a lot more on that recently, and I hope everyone has a great day. Goodbye.
Some trouble.